Lately, I've been working really hard to spruce up my online store, and I got it to the point where I'm pretty happy with it. So I wanted to share with you some of the things that I've learned to maybe help you guys out, because some of you guys, not everyone, but a few of you guys could really use the help. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome back to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And sometimes we take those things and we make prints out of them, we make t-shirts out of them or whatever, and then we throw them up on our online store, and then people buy them like crazy. It doesn't always work like that, actually. And it's a little harder than just throwing them up on your online store. There's a lot of things you need to take into consideration, but that's okay, because I'm going to share with you some things that I've learned that can help you guys out. So without any further ado, let's get to it. When setting up an online store, presentation is everything. You need to make a good impression. You want your store to look good. Think of an online store the same way you would like a brick and mortar store. Have you ever gone to a grocery or a big box store and you're going through the parking lot and you see the sign up front, it's kind of flickering, or maybe some of the letters aren't lighting up or whatever, and then you walk up to the door and maybe it's not opening for you, or you get in and it's kind of dirty, the shelves aren't adequately stocked, it's just not very clean. You can't really find what you're looking for. Items are in the wrong place. Maybe you leave before you even get to the door, or maybe you figure, well, I'm already here, maybe I'll go look around, get what I need, and leave. Chances are you're probably not going to come back, even if you go in there in the first place. So, an online store really isn't that different. First and foremost, you need to concentrate on your brand. I'm showing some visuals of my Etsy store. I've got a couple different stores. This is my Etsy store. It's got a nice big banner and everything, which I really like. But anyway, so these are the things you need to think of. How's your banner? You got a nice profile pic. Have you filled out your about page, your bio, all that stuff? What's your story? For instance, so with my, I've got on my banner, I've got the name of my shop, Serkworks Art Labs, and then, kind of the tagline, the science of geekology. So, it tells you I kind of sell geeky type science stuff. And then Mad Science Supply Company, that's what it is. That's the theme of this shop. And, down below you get Serkworks, Geekologist, and Mad Science Supply Specialist. That's in the type, so that's searchable and everything. I've got a profile pic of myself. I've also got my logo on there, so I'm really trying to take advantage of every opportunity that whatever platform I'm using gives me, whether it's Storenvy or if you're Shopify or whatever they allow you to do, take advantage of that and fill it out. Even like Etsy allows you to, load pictures of your shop. So you go in there, you can see, different pictures of my shop, me working on, my products, just different things. All this stuff helps. And even they allow you to upload a video that it's almost like have you ever seen like a Kickstarter video that you talk about your project? Well, this is just talking about my store. And, not everyone's going to click on that. You kind of have to go a little deep, but like I said, I really think it's important in the beginning just put in a little extra time, because once that's done, you've got it. Once it's done, it's there. You can go back and change it if you want, but you have something there everywhere someone would look. So you're just giving every single opportunity you can for somebody to say, oh man, this is a cool store. Basically everything's there. I really don't have any questions. I can see what you're all about. I know what I'm going to come to expect with the store, and hopefully the quality of products rather that I'm getting and everything. So really, you take advantage of anything you possibly can that they allow you to do. And we'll get into this more as we go with some of these other things. But right now, really, the first thing you want to concentrate is that branding. What are you about as a company? Not just, hey, I'm so-and-so, I sell art. There's got to be more to it. There's got to be a story there. Really, this is super important. So branding, up your branding game. Second only to branding are photographs, and some people, they may even be more important actually. But with an online store, your customers don't really have the ability to, pick up your items and flip them around and look at them and read what's on the back, what's included, all this kind of stuff. So you need to give a little extra in order for them to have as close to that experience as you possibly can. Most artist shops I see, they've basically just got scanned images of their prints, or or a screenshot or whatever up there, but I think you need to go a little further with that. If you happen to be a big name artist, you could maybe you can get away with that. I'm not, so what I have to do is I really try to focus on staging my products and putting them in the best light as possible. And I am not a photographer. I am a novice, but I know how to Google, so I do as much research as I can, and I try to do the best with what I've got. And I've worked my way up to a certain level. You can kind of see I'm doing a little Photoshop here, and it took me a little while to get here. I am still not a photographer, but I've got Photoshop. I can edit things and post and do that kind of stuff. So I do what I can, and I'll share with you some tips and things that I've learned. And these are pretty basic, but I think if you're a novice kind of like me, this will help you out. So one thing you want to do is use simple backgrounds. So a lot of people say just straight white. Sometimes I try to do that. Sometimes I kind of steer away from that. Sometimes I'll use very basic, non-conflicting, textures and things like that. In certain instances, maybe you have a product that has a lot of white in it. It's not going to look good against a white background. So use your discretion, but as a general rule, you want to use lighter backgrounds, something that's not going to detract from your product, or something that's going to make that pop out rather. In the beginning, you don't have to invest in like a fancy lighting setup and everything, or even a fancy camera. I mean, you can use your phone, and with some decent lighting, just natural light. You don't want direct sunlight. You kind of, or if you kind of got an overcast day, that works really good. Or if you just buy a window, if you can kind of set up by a window where there's some natural light coming in. If you don't have that opportunity to do that, you can use whatever light fixtures you have, but you want to switch out to daylight lights, not soft white. Soft white, usually it says soft white, but it's kind of, usually they have a little bit of a yellow tint, whereas the daylight, it's a little bluish, it's a little more natural, and they're a little hard to find. You just got to look for them. Most stores do carry daylight lights, and basically, because I do a lot of YouTube stuff, I went through, and most of the lights in my house I switched out to daylight because it just shows up better on camera. But when I first started off, I was just using like a gooseneck lamp that you can get at Target, and you kind of want to diffuse the light, which you can do as simply, they have diffusers and things like that. I mean, I use umbrella lights now, but when I first started off, I just got like white, semi-transparent white trash bags, plastic trash bags, and I just put them over. Now, depending on the light, if it's something that doesn't heat up like a fluorescent light, you'll be okay. Just make sure you take it off when you're done, and it's not setting directly on the light either. They do have like fixtures around the light bulb, so it's not really touching. But that's what I used to begin with, and I use that for my YouTube and everything, and eventually I kind of upgraded a little bit. But or you can, if you've got smaller items or whatever, if you want to take some really cool shots, you can build like a light box. I've never used this, but I've seen videos how to build one. You just take a regular cardboard box, you take the top and then the front off of it, put white poster board on each side, and then where the back and the bottom of the box go, you just kind of want to angle it just so it's nice and smooth, so there's sort of a curvature to it, kind of like if you guys ever seen like a cyc wall when you're filming movie sets and things like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but anyway, it's basically just a little diorama, and you set your light above that, and you can take some really nice shots even with your iPhone. So it's a little bit of experimenting, but I think you can get some good shots if you do some research and everything, kind of like what I did. Now, maybe you don't want to go into all the effort that it takes to set up sort of a little photo shoot like this, and most artists online, you're selling prints and things like that, so you may not need to, and there's some other ways you can do that. But the most important thing you want to think about when you're presenting your products is, how will these be used in the real world? How will your customers use them? So if you're selling knives, Kinzu knives or whatever, instead of just showing the knife, you want to actually show maybe a picture of it cutting through scallions or something like that, just to show how it works. And when you apply this to art, if you're selling prints, why not show how they would look framed and on a wall and everything? Because otherwise, it just looks like a screenshot of your artwork. But you can show how your artwork would look like to the customers, what they can do with it, and it just makes it look a little more physical, and I really think it's effective. And one of the things you can do, you don't have to go and frame all your prints and take pictures of them. You can use, mock-ups, and these are available. I've got a Shutterstock account, so I use Shutterstock. You can see me kind of taking one of my posters here, my Mecha versus Kaiju print, and kind of fitting it in this mock-up, which I've just kind of clipped out the area in the photograph. And I do this with a lot of different things. I've got a bunch of them to select from. So I use Shutterstock, but you can use Creative Market sells mock-ups, or you can find some pretty decent ones online. Just do a search for free mock-ups, and there's all whether you're putting your artwork on T-shirts or hats or mugs. These mock-ups are out there, so you can kind of superimpose your artwork over it, and it really gives a nice effect. The other thing you want to do is don't just put up one photo. If whatever platform you're using allows you to put up, say, 5 photos, put up 5 photos. I think 5 is a good number. I think now Etsy allows you to do more. I haven't gone back and doing more, but here, you can kind of see whether you're shooting from a different angle, you can take different shots, close-up shots of your artwork, show it in different frames, whatever you can do. The more pictures, and it also works, and we'll get into SEO, but it also works with SEO because the more photos you have, that's another opportunity someone has to see your art when searching. So, something to think about. All right, we mentioned SEO, so let's talk about SEO. SEO, of course, is search engine optimization, and basically, that's the tags and descriptions and keywords, etc., that allows your stuff to be found by search engines. You can see here, this is my Game Changer bow tie product. This is Etsy. Different stores work differently. You just kind of plug your keywords into your description. So Game Changer bow tie, Dungeons and Dragons, D&D fantasy, RPG, D20, dice, nerdy gifts, bow ties, gifts for role players or role-playing gamers, all that kind of stuff. So I just throw that in there. And of course, you also can add your keywords in here and take advantage of all your keyword slots. Etsy allows you to use 13 keywords, so use all 13. I also use Storenvy, and I don't think they give you as many, but I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity I can. So if you're having trouble coming up with what keywords to use, just do a general search on, again, generally what your product is about on Google or whatever, and it'll start to fill in ideas of what the most searched items are that are kind of have to do with your product. You can do the same thing in Etsy. You can start searching in Etsy. If you have like a dinosaur bow tie, you type in dinosaur bow tie, or if you just type in dinosaur, it'll fill in, or bow tie, it'll start filling in things like that, and you can use that. You can also use Google AdWords, or just do a search on keyword searches on Google, and you'll find other ways that you can come up with keywords and tags and things like that. Also, try to use long tail keywords instead of just single words. Type in phrases, because that's how people search things. So instead of just putting a keyword like gifts or geeks or whatever, put gifts for geeks, because again, that's how people search for things. Usually somebody's not just going to type in gifts or geek or whatever. So that really does help. Now, I want to move on to writing your descriptions, but this also has to do with keywords, because you want to work your keywords into your descriptions so they're searchable. And you don't want to just throw them in there. You want it to sound naturally. So here's sort of the description for my Game Changer bow tie. You're bound to score major charisma points with this epic role-playing themed bow tie pattern. If you're going to take over the world, you should look good doing it, and that's why Serkworks Art Labs has introduced this diabolically debonair line of bow ties specifically designed for the aspiring evil genius. Now, I'm really trying to capture a feeling of what this is about, instead of just, this is a bow tie, it's got 20-sided dice on it. Think of all the ads you see. You're trying to really get people to buy this thing, so you want to be creative about it. And if writing creative ad copy isn't your thing, maybe find somebody who's good at that. And the good thing about us as artists is we've got a skill that's of value to other people. So maybe do a trade out to somebody who's really good at writing copy. I've done this in the past, so I think I'm fairly decent at it. But again, you want to work in keywords. So I kind of go on, and this is more general as far as some of the descriptions. But Serkworks Art Labs offers nerdy sci-fi goodness for aspiring evil geniuses, mad science alike. Get your geek on with the best in handmade art prints, books, trading card games, buttons, bow ties, apparel, blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of go on from there, but you see how I'm dropping things in here. And I go on to whether you're a cosplayer, engineer, programmer, computer specialist, and I just list these things of people that are into this type of artwork that I'm selling or the kind of works I have. So it's right all in there in the description. So it acts as a keyword search, as well as enticing people to really want this product because it sounds cool. When writing your descriptions, you want to think about your customer. What are they looking for in the product? What do they want to know? Put yourself in the mind of your customer. How is this product used? Who is it for? What makes it unique? And you want to answer questions like what size are your prints? What kind of media? What is it printed on? Is it glossy? Is it flat? Anything like that. Whether you have a return policy, you want to put as much information as possible in your description, and that'll also help so your customers aren't constantly emailing you asking you things like that. So put as much info in as you can because since you can't pick up that product, you want to know as much as you can about it. There's a couple of other things I wanted to touch on before we wrap up, and one is you probably want a decent amount of products on there. If you got 15 products, maybe 25 if you can, because you don't want your store to look bare. Like it's weird when you go to an online store and there's only like one or two things. It's just like if you go into a brick and mortar again and there's like nothing on the shelf. The other thing is pricing. You don't want to price your items too low, and you got to take into account the shipping and all that. Take into account the time you spend on your product, and you don't want your product to look cheap. So when in doubt, just go a little higher. You want to stay competitive, but you don't want to cheapen your artwork. So I always like to stay sort of in the mid-range compared to other similar products that I see online. The other thing that's a really good tip and something I want to leave you with is, instead of pricing your item at say $25, price it at $24.95 or $24.99. And I know it's only a couple cents and it seems weird, but psychologically it really works. And I don't see a lot of people doing this, but it does really help. And if there's any doubt, just go to any grocery store or any store in general, and you will see that. I mean, they don't price things. They price things a couple cents less. You see that 24, it's not quite as much as 25, even though it's almost 25, but it really it's psychological, but it works. So that's something that I do with all my products and something I recommend you guys do as well. So those are some of my tips. Really, I mean, I could go on for hours talking about this, but I don't want this to be a super long video. So if you got questions, if there's something I left out or I was unclear about, let me know in the comments section, and I will try to answer that. Obviously, if you clicked on this video, you kind of taken the first step into looking into what you can do to improve your online store. But other than what I'm telling you, there's tons of other resources, and that's how I found all this stuff out. I just looked online and picked out the best information I could and tested it out and everything myself. And so I'm going to present that to you, and hopefully you can work with that and make something of it. So good luck with your online store. All right, so those are some of my tips and things that I've learned that can help you to create a top-notch online store. So I'm hoping you guys take some of this advice and kind of run with it, apply it to what you're doing with your online store if you already have one, or to create one yourself. And if you're thinking about it, or if you already have one, let me know in the comments section. I know sometimes if you put links in there, they go to the trash section or whatever, but I'll try to go in there and see about that. Or just put it without a hyperlink to it, and I will cut and paste it or whatever and check it out, because I'm curious to see what you guys have, and if there's any way I can help you guys out, let me know. And other than that, I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here in the Art Lab. There's a lot of other great content on the channel, so click that subscribe button and you won't miss a thing. If you're an aspiring evil genius, visit Serkworks.com for all your mad science supply needs. And if you want to contact me, hit me up in the comments section or follow me on social media. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you then.